What is happening? It's your boy LDAWB coming at you with a new video, and always in a different locale. That's my specialty. You know how it is. Always somewhere different. But I hope you guys are doing okay on this fine day. But today we're going to focus on a little game called Wild Hearts, made by Koei Tecmo, the guys responsible for Dynasty Warriors, Tokiden, published by EA Originals. We're going to talk about that game today. And this is a Monster Hunter clone, or specifically a Monster Hunter World clone, which understandably isn't a bad thing, and I want to stress that, but more on that in a bit. This guy is mere days away from release, and being a long-time Monster Hunter player myself and being a fan of action RPGs, I'm going to tell you guys how I generally feel about Wild Hearts through my own lens, unbiased from what other people are saying. So what do I think? I gotta say, Wild Hearts is surprisingly better than I expected. I was expecting something different, but not a lookalike. Like World, you can start from scratch, having a precursor fight with its flagship, then facing this larger-than-life monster, kind of like Zora Madros, if you remember, only to come back to face both again, with better weapons, gear, you know, the usual typical stuff. If you've played World and maybe that was your first Monster Hunter game, this game will honestly feel no different. And just as World pulled in new players to the series and making the game less daunting and more welcoming to players, Wild Hearts is undeniably doing the same thing. And again, I want to stress how good this is. This isn't a bad thing. This is not a gripe. We need the genre to grow. And just because this isn't Monster Hunter, this doesn't mean that we shouldn't exclude players being introduced to the genre with Wild Hearts. You know, to perhaps say, well, it should be compared to Monster Hunter or World, or should be judged as its own, I dare you to play through this game after World and then say that it isn't like one another, because it basically is. Again, this isn't a gripe, but a good thing. This is a good thing. And I feel the guys on Wild Hearts took direct inspiration from it. Wild Hearts is the less daunting version of Monster Hunter World. But as there are pros, there are also cons. And I want to get the negatives out of the way right quick. Just a note, I've played through the majority of my time on Wild Hearts with the bow. So again, through my lens, but let's start with the Jank player movements first of all. Yay for jankiness. It's a bit on the wonky side. I played bow in World and I loved how smooth and fluid it felt there. In Wild Hearts, however, it felt a bit shifty. And I remember how the Dragon Pierce bow build was a thing in World, if you guys remember that. I personally wasn't a fan of that risk-reward playstyle, and seeing that particular playstyle again on here was a little interesting. There's a bit of some jankiness with not only the player, but with the monster movements as well. I felt controlling the character was difficult at times, and the fluidity of motion that Monster Hunter did so well, Wild Hearts was struggling a bit in that department. So also the screen shaking was a bit too much. So that's that. There's also the issue of the roster being only 20 monsters with more on the way, and with its easy to learn mechanics and easier accessibilities, it may become a bit stale compared to its counterparts in terms of content, and that can be a little worrying to me personally. But that's it. That's honestly all I have with all the negatives with Wild Hearts so far. Now for the positive. Let's talk about the Karakuri and how surprisingly good it is. I know people reference this mechanic to Fortnite. I've never played Fortnite, but okay, that's cool. One of the things I liked about Wild Hearts, I liked how it taught you how to utilize the Karakuri in the middle of a fight instead of going through training mode like in Monster Hunter. The urgency to learn through utilization during a fight is better than Monster Hunter in my opinion. I also liked how the fights were designed to incorporate Karakuri during the hunts, like for example making the bulwark ball to stop the King Tusk from charging at you is one. The stacking of the cubes and how it can block attacks, and then you can use that to jump attack against a Rage Tail. How using the Karakuri Pounder, sounds kind of weird, the Pounder is used to hit the Spine Glider. The Fireworks option also was used to drop the Dreadclaw from the sky. The Spring also was a mechanic to dodge the Sap Scourge roll attacks. How it utilizes threads, the basis of Karakuri, and how you can gain or get back those threads through critical attacks or by your Tsukumo companion. The idea of this limitation is awesome, especially in group hunts and not just ran through unlimitedly. These things to me provided more depth to monster fights in general, which is also a plus for me. I liked how you unlocked more Karakuris as you progressed with each of the monster fights, just like in World or any other Monster Hunter. Progress is key. Basically, kind of the best way that I can describe the Karakuri in Monster Hunter World terms is as if there are more options than a gizmo on your arm that shoots blast nuts and a hook shot. So think that, but with more options and variety, and that's Karakuri in a nutshell. The other things that I like was the ability to set up weapon workbenches in the field. I mean, come on, really. Think about that for a second. I think that's freaking awesome. And not only do that, but to forge and upgrade your weapons during a hunt. I mean, again, think about that, Monster Hunter. To think it's possible in this game and not in Monster Hunter is mind-blowing to me, but it's in Wild Hearts. That's another plus. The difficulty on the kimono fights were fair too. Some of the fights were designed actually surprisingly well. I had some feints here and there were the good kind of feints that I found myself accepting going back in. I liked how it was doing its best to capture Monster Hunter's hunter logs with info, data, and hit points on each of the monsters in Wild Hearts. That was also a nice touch. And there's the elephant in the room. Crossplay. Yes, crossplay. I don't mean to be an echo chamber when it comes to crossplay, but it needs to be echoed here once again. And it's probably the biggest pro, and one of the things that our dearly beloved Monster Hunter hasn't done, and frankly should do, because this is huge for Wild Hearts to incorporate. This should be recognized, honestly, for it, if not for anything else, in my honest opinion. Kind of bring this all back to kind of condense this. Monster Hunter World to me is like Gohan, for example, right? Just work with me for a second. In Wild Hearts, it's like its little brother Goten. You see Goten's potential, but he hasn't reached the level or experience of Gohan. You just want to pat him on the head, say, you know what? Good job, man. Good job. I see that you're trying, and I believe you'll get there. That's Wild Hearts for you. This is not a bad thing, and I want to reiterate that and stress that again. It's not a bad thing at all when we get properties like one another. It just means more. That's good. So Wild Hearts, you're on the right track so far. Good job, guy. Anyway, I hope this helps those in the fence and those skeptic about this so far. It is a recommended pickup for me. I came into this game being super skeptical and wanting to find things that I didn't like about it. I thought it was good. It's a good effort from Koei Tecmo. At least it's something that you should at least try out. But these things are just my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Have you played through it? How do you feel about it? Voice them in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts. I think Wild Hearts is definitely heading in the right direction, and I'm super keen for what's to come for it. I will do a full review on the game once the game comes out, so look out for that in the meantime. Anyway, keep it here. Like, subscribe, all that jazz in a bag of chips. Much love to my Patreons. Thank you guys for watching. I know I'm in this different locale. It'll be better in time, I promise. Have a good day, you guys, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Knew I could be my own defender. Really fuck me up and choose your own perspective. Evolved this far enough just to see life at clearance. Wolves howling at the moon, you like the secret weapon. Don't you dare come near me, gather strength to